Hey everyone, Serge LeBlanc here. In this video, I want to show you an example of a query using the OR clause and when it is and isn't appropriate to include brackets around the OR clause and why we do that. So let's see if we can figure that out by trying to answer this question. How many sales transactions did we have in Scott County for vendors 370 and 420? Okay, so as usual, before we start answering this question, let's just take a look, see what this table looks like. So we've dealt with this kind of question before. We know the transactions are in the sales table. So we'll do a select star from sales with the limit 10 to C. Okay, so it looks like what we want here is we want to count the transactions. So we're going to be counting rows from the sales table, but only for Scott County and only for vendors 370 and 420. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to write a query. So what we want here is we're going to be counting rows, so we're going to do a select count. Okay, and it's going to be from the sales table, right? And in our where clause, we know that we only want to count transactions in Scott County. So where county equals Scott, right? But also not only in Scott County, but we only want vendors 370 and 420. So either one of them is correct. So right, so we want to count for either one of them. So we're going to be counting from sales table for Scott County and only for vendor number 370 or vendor number equals 420. Let's see what happens here. All right, we get a result 49,900. Now, is this correct? The answer is no. The reason this is incorrect is because when the SQL Workbench is interpreting this query, as soon as it encounters an OR clause, it negates everything that it saw before it. So the way that the query is read, it says count the rows from sales where the county is Scott and the vendor number is 370, or just vendor number is 420. So it'll ignore the Scott County, and that's not what we want, right? We want everything to be in Scott County and for one of these two stores. So the way to get around that is we add parentheses for the items in our OR clause, right? So this is common. So whenever you have an OR, you always want to add brackets between them if you want to include filters that come before the OR clause. So in this case, we want Scott County, right? So let's go ahead, and if we run this, let's see what happens. We get 15,000. But now you might be wondering, well, yeah, but how do I really know which one is correct? Well, we can check. If we use our group by, we can solve this problem in a different way. You'll often find that in SQL you can actually solve the problem in more than one way. So let's write it this way. If we want to count by vendor number, maybe we can see if the sales are truly divided between these two vendor numbers in Scott County. Vendor number, so we're going to be counting rows. Right? Now we're going to count rows by vendor number, but only for Scott County. And then we're going to group by the vendor number, and let's see what we get. Whoops. We also need to add the list of vendors that we're interested in, where vendor number in 370, 420. Let's try this now. So we're counting by vendor number only for Scott County and only for 370 and 420. So here we have 3,300 and 11,000. So if we add these two up, 15,000, right? And what do we get previously without our parentheses? we got 49,000. So what this was doing is it was saying count star from sales where county equals Scott. So if we remove these, right, it'll say where county equals Scott and 370. Okay, I'm counting this. Or forget everything you saw above here, or just vendor number 420. Okay, so I hope that helps clarify things, and please don't hesitate to send questions in Slack if you still have any questions. Thanks.